chances that I missed. Some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist. I wonder what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. Except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today.
Here we go. This is 1100 WSGI. I'm Utah LaVern, and this is One Street Over. What's going on One Street Over from where you live in? We get to talk to Director of Schools, Dr. Danny Weeks, today. Programming, just a little bit of a streaming note. If you watch us on the stream, trying to figure out why it's not originating from my stream now. We just tested it, but we'll figure it out and we'll fix it. I came in yesterday and tried to fix it. We've had a couple of days where you have to go to the WSGI stream to pick it up on the Facebook page, and I have shared that, so that should take care of it. But hope you'll share it and let people know that if they want to know what's going on with the school board. We've got a review of it from Dr. Danny Weeks, and we get it on the day after the school board meeting every month, and we appreciate you being. It's like I sent you an email last night. I'm like, are you coming? Yes. Well, we're so busy right here at the first of the year. I am so slammed.
Yeah.
Oh, turn that microphone right, pointing
Sure.
to your mouth there.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. But it is, and it's all good. I mean, I'm excited. I think we're starting off really great. But oh my gosh, it's just we're putting together our first newscast of the year. It'll go out tomorrow, and I've got a whole new set of kids.
Right.
And I had some that I had along for several years, and my anchors are not, they did a lot last year, but it's like it's kind of like I'm having to rebuild my news department a little bit, my editors and stuff. And so, but it's all good. And I got to brag on people. We had the water that came into ours. We had a leak. Mm-hmm. And it affected my room and Coach White's room, which is engineering. So engineering, broadcasting, insurance, going to, do what they do, and it'll be fine. And we're fine. We're it's nothing urgent for us. Well, we didn't realize until the day before students got there, Miss Grimes comes in, and Miss Garris comes in, and she's been working in her room. Well, then she goes to open her supply closet to get her stuff out, and it's destroyed with the rain. And so she lost her supplies. And I told her, I said, get me a list, an Amazon wish list. Because, she's like, well, we can do a lot with pencil and paper, and I mean, she's an art teacher and very gifted. And so, and the kids have already produced some beautiful paintings and things, like some sketches and things with what she can scrounge together.
Right.
I said, put me a list together. And so yesterday, she put together a little Amazon wish list, and I put up a picture of my room because I didn't have a picture of her closet. And I said, hey, this happened, and she needs stuff now. And I think there was when I last looked, there was something like 33 shares on
Wow.
it.
Yeah.
And all kinds of people going, I've ordered this, I've ordered that. And I'm going to
Mhm.
have to go to Kim today and I'm say, okay, you may end up getting more than what you counted on, So, but I just love it when people do that and they
Right.
pour into our schools and
Right.
they want to help. And that's why I told her, I said, if you'll let people know what you need, I said, I feel like people will, come up because
I agree.
she had all those canvases because, they use
Yes.
those canvas boards for
Mhm.
everything. And I had no telling how many of those she
Wow.
lost.
Wow.
But anyway, thank y'all. Thank y'all for loving on my friend. And so I'm excited to see what Miss Garris gets in the next week from Amazon. It's gonna be good. I'm anticipating it. So, but thank y'all for helping out with that. So, where do you want to start, Dr. Weeks?
Wow, you mentioned the busyness of the
Yeah.
first week of school, and it has been. But I will say, our staff and our principals are telling us it's one of the best starts they've ever had.
Awesome.
And I can say that from our office. There are always little problems, and I know when I say little problems, I say recurring problems that we can't control. You mentioned storms and
Yeah,
rain and things like
happens.
that, and it's a little more complicated than if those things happen at our house. The insurance process at the governmental level and things like that. It's a little tougher, but traffic has been, I guess, the biggest issue that we hear about, and we have a lot of folks that drop their kids off the first couple of days or weeks of school, and kindergartners are starting to pour in right now, and so that process of getting out of the car by yourself and carrying your supplies in and things like that. So that takes a little bit of extra time. We also have some parents that have never been to school before. So, learning the pattern, learning the routine, how do you get in line and how do you go around and follow the traffic patterns, those type things. Those are always issues to start the year. Buses are, one of those things, students learning when their bus stop is, where their bus stop is, and what time that bus stop comes in the morning, comes in the afternoons. And so we get a lot of calls about buses this time of year. And our transportation department has done a great job. Our schedules were made early so that a lot of them were able to tell a parent, exactly what time they were going to be there. And we always give, I think, it's either a 3 to 5 minute window. If we say 7:10, that could be as early as 7:05. That could be as late as 7:15, depending on who's riding, weather conditions, and things like that. But those are the two biggest things that we've dealt with this year. Class sizes are looking good. We've got enrollment numbers, and those are still a little flexible because sometimes folks are not sure about what time to come to school and when to come to school, and particularly up north, I think there are a lot of school systems that don't start till after Labor Day.
Yeah.
And so people that have moved here, they look out and see the buses going and realize we are in school, and things like that. And we'll have some folks move in after Labor Day that come to the area and get in. But our numbers, I think, are still pretty preliminary right now. But we'll continue to monitor those and see where they go. But it has been a busy time. I know you've been through that from the teacher side of it, but from an administrative side, we had new administrator training. We had back to school administrator training where we work with all of our principals and assistant principals and coordinators. Then we had new teacher orientation, which everyone goes through and learns how to use computer programs, grading programs, attendance
Power
programs.
School?
Right. What is Power School? That, and then, we had a professional development last week, and then, we had the half-day registration orientation day for most folks. And then, of course, we took the day off for the election. And a lot of people don't understand that is not a choice we have. That is a state law. That if Robertson County votes in our schools, we are not allowed to have school in those days. So it's not that, we saw some comments on Facebook and things like that, why are we taking they called it a vacation. Why are we taking a vacation after 2 days? Well, we're not, we're following state law, and we will continue to follow state law. So, but that was Thursday. So Friday, full day, yesterday, full day, and now we're back in it. And I think we're pushing. We look in little small steps and small jumps, and so our next jump is to Labor Day. So that's when it's, I think that's September 7th. So between now and then, right at a full month of school and get everything in, get everything rolling, and just those things that our office has really been involved in. On the first day of school, I send all of my supervisors out to a different school to help in any way they can. It might be directing traffic. It might be helping people know how to get in the building. It might be helping fill out registration papers and doing anything like that. But they all reported great organizational skills by principals and staffs and having everything ready for school. So that was a good time. We do still remind people that, if you've not filled out free and reduced lunch price
Oh yeah.
lunch paperwork, it's never too late to do that. That can happen any day of the year, but it's not retroactive. And so if you have that feeling that you might need free or reduced lunches, go ahead and get that paperwork. It won't take 5 minutes to fill that out, and it'll help your student get get those free and reduced lunch prices all year. There's no stigma attached to it. Everybody in the school system that goes through the lunch line punches in their 5-digit number, and I say that myself too. I punch in a 5-digit number, and so there's no stigma. Nobody knows if that person's paying full price for their lunch, getting a free lunch, or getting a reduced price lunch. So it's coded to our passwords that we type into the computer. So if anybody needs that, again, we want to be able to help them get that paperwork. If they can't fill it out, we'll be glad to help them in our office. And again, that's the main work of our office the first week of school, is helping people get that transition, make that smooth transition in, so that their students can focus strictly on learning.
And and it's like you're talking about if it doesn't carry over from the year before. I'm having kids come up. You mean I've got to fill out the paperwork about the broadcast club again? I'm like, yes, you do. It's a new year. I don't care if you did it last year. You got to do it again. And one of our Miss Springfield came around to the rooms and talked to them about the free lunch and made sure that they knew that the paperwork and things are available, because we run into that later in the year where kids are like, I'm hungry. I've got too much. My lunch bill's too big, and all of this stuff, and they're come hit me up for crackers and all of those things. But a lot of it, these kids that get stressed about the money, they might qualify for even a reduced lunch, if not a free one.
Absolutely.
And I know we had, I think, free breakfast last year, and we don't now. The breakfast is $1.
Breakfast is $1,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. So I think that was a change for us this year. Am I wrong?
It has been. That's a district-wide change.
District-wide, because they were getting a free breakfast, and now they do have to pay $1 for it.
Right.
Okay. Well, and again, any of them that are eligible, it's just a piece of paperwork, and you got to get it filled out. So, and if you're having, and the bottom line is too, some kids, their parents, they can't get their parents to do it. Talk to your counselors. Talk to your counselors. Some of my kiddos watch this, so I just say, talk to your counselors, talk to your teachers, and just say, hey, we need to figure this out, and we'll figure it out. But you got to let us know what's going on.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, you got to fill it out again. Just like going to the doctor. Got new paperwork, new year, new paperwork. Let's go. That's one thing I've already, we're the CTSOs are our clubs that we're involved in. And for career and technical education, the state's really pushing that those have got to be a priority in our CTE. And so a lot of us are trying to figure out how in the world to make that happen, because we're so busy already. And I'm already getting deadlines from Skills USA about this, and this. And I'm like, trying to make sure that you have to keep those calendars.
Yes.
Because, we've got a talent show on the calendar already. And I was like, phew, the skills thing that came in today was not going to overlap with my talent show. And I was like, okay, we can keep that. But have you heard about this big field trip that we're working on to do? And CTE, Will and all them have approved it. So we got this idea because, with my husband working in criminal justice over at Springfield, I had a field trip that came out to the house at the end of the year, because we've got this really neat little piece of property on a hill and woods and all this. And I said, we'll come out here and we'll do some camera shots outside and just kind of spend the day outside and doing some things you can do with equipment out there. And he was like, I'm just jealous. I want to bring my kids out. He goes, we could make a crime scene, and we could do this and we could do that. And he was like, yeah, I could get some deer carcasses and we could, bury them, and then they could do a crime scene investigation. And so we've called Caleb Stratton. We're like, we need some deer carcasses. And I got with Randall, Miller at my school with his career. He is criminal justice at Greenbrier. And then got with Bruno Reagan at Springfield Audio Video. And of course, now all the, Mr. Beasley, Miss Richardson, they're all wanting to, we do photography. We want to come. Right. So we're planning a pretty massive field trip with a bunch of kids.
For CTSO, that is wonderful.
Yeah, isn't that fun? Yeah. And so we're gonna tie it in. We're gonna have we're going to be the media. We're even going to get some theater kids involved, and they're going to stage a scene.
Right.
We're not going to tell everybody what it is because it's super fun. And but if it all comes together, it's going to be an event. But we got to make sure that doesn't crash.
Right.
See, all this stuff, you think, oh, that's just fun. But it's teaching the kids the content that we're teaching them. It gives them a chance to, come out and apply it.
Right.
And then after we do the scenario thing in the morning, we're going to actually structure some competition, CTSO competition after lunch before we go back. So that will be in lines with Skills USA stuff. And so it's gonna meet all of those things that the state wants us to do with the kiddos. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun day. But it's a lot of moving parts, and it's a lot of scheduling.
What you just said about excitement in school.
Yeah.
I was several of our board members do have students still in school, and they mentioned the excitement of their kids going to school the first couple of days, and that's so important that the school sets that tone. The teachers set that tone, and we try to stress that, be that positive force in somebody's life. They may not have a greatest home life, or they may be having to work extra jobs or some jobs, that take their time away. But, just like that, there are opportunities that in our classrooms we can make students feel important. We can listen to their voices. We can know what they're doing. Learning is a job. And it is tough sometimes, but we can make it as fun as we can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be creative in our classrooms.
Well, and we have in the newscast tomorrow, we have a line in there that talks about participating in different extracurriculars and being exam exempt. You start now we were talking about Renaissance. We've announced the date of the Renaissance rally. And there's a line in the news that says, you have to, your grades and your attendance has to be a priority to come to Renaissance rally.
Right.
So plan now
to
make sure you get that done. And my kids that didn't bother to come in first half day, I said, that's an unexcused absence.
Right.
I said, you're already disqualified from my field trip.
Yeah.
You need to bring in one of your parent notes. Really, Miss Vivio? I'm like, absolutely. Absolutely. If you want to do my field trips, you have to not have an unexcused absence. And we're just, trying to help them see, look at all these things we're going to do. And if you want to do them, you got to be in school. And so, I feel like a veteran teacher now. I'm starting my 5th year. I finally feel like I kind of have my bearings. It's kind of funny. Is there a magic number for teachers when you finally kind of feel like, okay, I'm doing okay. And I don't feel like I'm drinking from a fire hose as much,
I think after that first year, I mean, you'd obviously say the first year is, but getting in a couple, but then, now you're experienced about
there
that.
You go. So I'm an experienced teacher. It's fun. But anyway, we're having a lot of fun. I tell you what, let's pause. Let me do one of my breaks. This is a good place to pause, and then we'll come back and go through the school board meeting. But again, we're off to a great start, guys, here in Robertson County. There's a lot of fun stuff going on. Oh, county-wide pep rally tonight.
Yes.
At White House Heritage, and they're calling it we loved it when we could do the pep rally on the square, and I have fussed at Ryan and all them because that was a chamber thing, and I'm like, the square was so cool. Just logistically, they couldn't make it happen. I think it was just too many people, and it just shut everything down, and it was I don't know, they couldn't make it happen. So now the school that won White House Heritage, we're coming for you. I'm just telling you, Greenbrier's going to get you, but they're hosting it, so it's going to be in the White House Heritage community right there, and they're calling it the pep rally on the road. I don't really know what that means, but we'll figure it out. And so the kids are competing against each other tonight, and that's going to be a big event. So we got that tonight. But let's pause and let's talk about Valor Mortgage, guys. If you're in the market for a mortgage and you're getting inundated, I really I try to protect myself from spam calls, from wasted emails, all of these things, but I still get bombarded by this stuff. I've put all the filters on my phone. I still get these calls. Do you want to sell your property? Do you know you have equity in your property? Blah, blah, blah. And if you click on any of these things, you get in their algorithm, a number, and they're just going to hit you. Don't click on them. Don't bother with them because you're just a number. If you have these needs, if you want to know, okay, what's the value of my property? Maybe I do have some equity in there. Maybe I could do some renovation. Maybe I could take some of that equity and do some investment. Oh, maybe my interest rate's just terrible, and I see that the interest rates have dropped a little bit, and I need to do a refi. Whatever it might be, or a first home purchase, or maybe you're wanting to move and sell your home. You've got to see where you are as far as what your mortgage options are. And that starts with a phone call to Valor Mortgage to talk to Chris Armtrout and the experienced loan officers at Valor. You can call them 615-671-9178, 615-671-9178, or go to valor.mortgage, get pre-approved today for a VA loan or a VHA loan or conventional or jumbo financing loans. All the tools you need to get to the closing table for whatever it is your goals might be. When it matters most, you deserve a lender you can trust that's not going to treat you like a number. Buy with confidence, buy with Valor. Valor Mortgage, NMLS number 1210804, DBA of Encore Lending Group, NMLS 1249911, equal housing lender, subject to credit approval, rates and terms subject to change without notice, not a commitment to the lend, and let them know U-Turn sent you. Dr. Danny Weeks is in the house. We are talking about the school board meeting. And if you have any concerns or comments you want to put in comments, I will share those with him. But let's get right to it.
We had a great night last night. First of all, the board, one of the things that we get to do early in the year, we always have a dinner between board members and our people who are been promoted to new administrative positions.
Okay.
And so we had a dinner at prior to the board meeting last night, and we introduced the board to our 5 new administrators. Those are Mr. Will Elliott. You mentioned Mr. Elliott.
Yes, we're
He is
excited
the
for Will.
CT supervisor. Mr. Mark Gregory had retired, and so Mr. Elliott applied for that job, interviewed, and did a nice job for that. So he's going to be serving in that role. Dr. Joseph Bradley was an assistant principal over at Greenbrier Middle School, and he is now the principal at Coopertown Middle. So he's
Okay.
moved cross county for that. Dr. Andrea Bringard was a instructional coach at Coopertown Elementary. She has moved to Coopertown Middle as an assistant principal. Allison James was a counselor here in the city of Springfield at Springfield High School, and she has an administrative degree. She's now an assistant principal at Joe Burns High School. And then finally, Dr. Emily Kane came to us from White House, Sumner County, and she was an instructional coach there. She is an assistant principal over at Chrysler Elementary School.
Okay.
And so, I think it's important that our administrators understand the relationship between, their contract is with me, but the board hires me. And so, the relationship between the administration, building administration, and governance, which is our school board. And so had a nice dinner last night. It was a good time of fellowship between those folks. Our supervisors were there. And so getting to just, personalize and fellowship. And, we talked about how busy the first week was, just a minute to slow down and meet people and talk about where their backgrounds are and their goals and their desires to work. So we started off there, and then a regular board meeting, regular session, a little bit longer than last month and several months, but just wanted to highlight a couple of things. In our consent agenda, and if you'll remember, the consent agenda is those things that are routine, that really don't need question, and the board puts those together in one item, and they can approve those as a packet without having to, I think there were 10 items on the consent agenda. So rather than having to make motions and, approve each one of those, so they did that. But, sometimes we forget to mention what's on there. And I want to talk about school support organizations. So those are what I think, commonly we know those as booster clubs. And so those are groups of parents that get together and, it could be athletics, it could be band and choir, it could be fine arts, it could be a CTSO, or it could be just a general school organization. I think at Greenbrier, I believe just the PTO.
PTO.
Yes.
PTO would be in that.
So last night, and that's a stringent process. That's not just parents getting together and saying, hey, let's go support our club or organization. We're always proud to have volunteers, but this is a more formal group. Several years ago, the Comptroller's Office and the Secretary of State developed a process because there was a lot of disorganization maybe in those groups,
It can happen.
and so they have to fill out paperwork. There are strict guidelines from the state on who can be an officer, how many of those people can be school people versus how many need to be outside people. specifically outlines their money collection process and how money is deposited, how it's collected, how it's spent. And so last night there were, I think, 17 school support organizations that have met that high standard. And so there may be others throughout the year, but that list will be posted on our website probably by at least by the end of the week. But as people come by selling something or collecting money or something like that, uh, we strongly say unless their name is on the approved list, we don't advise giving money to that
Mhm.
or buying something from that group because they're not sanctioned by us in order to do that. And so some of these groups run concession stands. Some of them sell back to school gear, clothes, backpacks, and things like that. Some of them sell tickets to their organizational. Might be to a play, might be to a concert or something like that. But uh, and they all have been vetted. They've all been approved by the state. They've all been approved by our school board to operate within the school system. So it's almost a license for them to go ahead and do the activities that they're going to do. So
And let me clarify
sure,
something though, because this would be not the types of groups where the football team is raising money, and the football team would get approval as a team, right?
correct,
It would be a
correct.
separate thing, just
Yes,
like just my broadcast club
yes,
will charge a fee to come to the talent show,
right,
which can help offset club fees for my kiddos with the CTSO.
correct,
But I have to get that approved.
right.
I can't just simply go, hey, I'm going to charge money. I have to go through a process, but that's separate because that's already tied into the school.
Yes, those are
Yeah,
school
these are, yeah,
organizations. These are school support organizations. And
right.
again, I think we use booster clubs, but some folks have been very creative. We have 7 schools that have a PTO, a formal
Hmm.
PTO, and then depending on sports, I see one school we have a quarterback club, we have a diamond club for softball, we have a baseball club, the dugout club. We have different band booster programs and
Right,
things like that. So, and then there are a couple of schools that just have a general overall school support club.
right,
And so,
right.
again, I would encourage people to go up and check our website out. Those were just approved last night, so it'll take us a couple days to get that on the web. But if somebody knocks on your door and says,
Hmm.
"I'm selling these items," and we want them to feel confident that nothing's 100% foolproof, but we want them to be confident that the organizations that we have approved are managing those funds well, that they're doing so consistent with our vision and our mission of our schools. They're not collecting it for some other purpose, and it'll be used for students that are in our schools right now. So,
Right.
that's an important piece to me. I'm glad that those state organizations kind of. I know sometimes it's a little bit of paperwork for those organizations, and they have to go through some paperwork at the state. And that's an annual basis too. We talked
Hmm.
about things that had
Yeah,
to be done annually,
every year.
but they have to do those every year, and we approve those at the start of school. So, when you go to the concession stand this week at a ball game or something, and you see whatever booster club running that concession stand, you can be confident that it's taken care of and it's been approved and vetted so that we know the money's going to the right places and for the right reasons.
Hmm.
Very
Very
important
good.
to us. Secondly, also wanted to recognize, we always try to have recognitions, and I talked about our recognizing our new administrators, but White House Heritage High School this past year, was recognized as an arts rich school by the Tennessee Arts Academy Foundation. So, Tennessee Arts Academy is the group of art teachers across the state of Tennessee. It's dance, theater, music, uh, the visual arts, the performing arts, and all those groups come together, and they provide a professional development for their teachers at MTSU. And so those folks go down and they have high quality artists come in from I've been to these. They have Broadway performers, movie actors and actresses. They have talented musicians come in, and they teach teachers how to use those skills in their classroom. So it's broken down by my visual arts teacher, painting, sculpting, all those kind of things, or music, vocal and ensemble music. So doing all those things. But um, they recognize schools that are going over and above and really promoting the fine arts in our schools. And so Tennessee Arts Academy recognized Heritage applied for, they they thought they were doing a good job in that field. They applied for that, and they were recognized at the banquet that the Tennessee Arts Academy has in the summer.
Cool.
And that's a wonderful banquet. I wasn't able to go this year, but our assistant director of schools, Miss Melanie Dickerson, went, and we had a group of the art teachers and music teachers from Heritage come last night, and Mr. J.R. Baker, who is our fine arts coordinator for the district, uh, represented
Very cool.
that plaque to them, and so they were honored in doing that. So uh, to me, that's just a reminder of, we have quality teachers in subjects, that I wish I could. You mentioned art and things like that. I don't have those abilities, but would love to sit in and watch those classes, watch those students. Bands coming up at football games and band competitions throughout the fall. It's just a privilege to see them working, but to know how hard and how many hours they put into, summer band camps and things like
Oh,
that.
so
So,
much. Yeah.
a lot of work there, but that's a group that we were proud of. Um,
Congratulations.
yeah, congratulations, Heritage, for that. The next item that we reviewed last night was the personnel report, and as you would expect, the first personnel report reflects all of the activities from Human Resources over the summer, and so it was probably 7 or 8 pages long. So on the report, we report to the board uh, promotions. We promote and share with them anytime that somebody resigns. We promote and share with them any transfers across the district and people who are on leaves of absence. And so I think we had about 8 or 9 pages of those
Oh,
last
wow.
night. So that tells you how busy the Human Resources Office has been, how busy the Finance Office has been getting their payroll and everything taken care of, and then just going through the onboarding process. And I think last time our staff was with you, I think Miss Dickerson and Mr. Sorrells were here, and
Yes.
I think
They came in
they were
for
either
the,
just coming
yeah.
to or from the orientation. So,
Mhm.
there's a lot going on there, but HR has been very busy. Principals have been very busy interviewing and picking out the right people for their buildings and trying to do that. And so, we're getting that going. From a financial perspective, is the next item that was on our agenda, and there, the end of year financial reports are, not really exciting. There's not a lot of activity financially that takes place in the summer because we basically stop spending to the only to the necessary items, big repairs and things like that coming up for the year. So, the financial reports that the board approved last night were the ones that'll be sent to the auditors. There are final reports, and everything's from Uptown Finance. They know how our accounts have ended up, and again, we've been very blessed to be within a percent or so of our budgeted amount. And
Mhm.
so, I think when you talk about our budget in the $140 million, and to be within a percent of that at the end of the
Wow.
year,
Yeah.
we're very. I thank my department heads for doing that. They're very careful in spending. They know where to spend money and where to be tight on money, and I guess I was most worried about fuel for our buses and our transportation
For
budget.
sure, because it's been
You know,
so
it,
unpredictable.
yeah,
Yeah.
and so we know mid-year, February, um, gasoline, diesel prices just went crazy. So I
Mhm.
was really worried about what our budget would do there. And so again, when we finish up within a percent or two
Oh, that's
within that,
remarkable with
that
that
a lot of
consideration.
stuff
Yeah.
done there. We approved 3 bids last night, and so again, anytime that we have bids that are over uh, certain bid thresholds, and usually it's 25,000 or $50,000. The board has to approve those, and then they'll also go to the finance office. But our tire bid, we bid tires, so there's a lot of transportation
There's so
issues
much
last night.
detail, I'm
And
telling you.
and so, when we
There's
think
so
about
much
the amount of money
detail.
that we spend on equipment for the
Mhm.
buses to keep those running, so they approved a bid on there. Our expendable supplies for custodial supplies, or a bid went
Paper
through this.
towels.
Paper towels, toilet paper,
All the
all of those things you
things.
need. And then one of our major purchases or projects that we're working on, and we took bids for Greenbrier Elementary School. Needs a new cooling tower replacement. So that helps run the air conditioners
Mhm.
and run the heaters. So we took a bid on that, and so that'll go through finance, and they'll be working on getting that taken care of and installed. So
Mhm.
all those bids went through last night. And then finally, we took a look at several board policies. And I think we talked last time we were together. There was, we had just attended a training where the School Board Association and the Superintendent's Association get together. They review all the legislation that was passed through last session.
Mhm.
And I remember you telling me that somebody told you there weren't many bills that affected education. I remember hearing that. There were 210 bills that
No.
directly
Oh
affected
my
education.
word. Oh,
So 210 pieces of
good land.
legislation. And so because there's a law passed, and now,
Yeah.
our associations have to get together and say, well, what does that look like from a school perspective?
Okay.
So just because the law was passed, we've got to get that into policy so that we can implement that.
Let me ask, would it be that, okay, because I feel like I got that from Senator Roberts, because usually that's where, that's who I talk to because we're
Right.
good buds. But um, could it have been possibly that these are things that are somewhat already in place and they're just being adjusted? Or
It,
was it all new
it,
stuff?
it's
I'm going to
probably
get him. I'll be like, what do you mean? And
probably
I don't know
a,
that that's where I heard it from, but, I feel like that had to have been where it came from.
it's a combination of both,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I'll give you one for example, because and
Okay.
this directly impacts you. And so you got an email from me
Okay.
a couple of weeks ago that said the state changed the way you get sick leave.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. We've looked at
so
that.
that's a
Yes.
change.
Yes.
And they didn't take anything away. They actually gave you a little more freedom and flexibility
Okay.
in your leave policies. But that has to go through our superintendent and school board association to make recommendations as how do you change that in your policy, and then how do you implement it.
Yeah.
And so it's taken those organizations that long to get model policies to us. You met Miss Dickerson
Mhm.
last time, and she kind of helps manage all of our policies. So she takes those policies, sees what our current policy says, and then she brings those recommendations to the board for their approval.
Mhm.
So obviously, that's when it went through last night, because
Mhm.
our teachers and our employees are earning that leave right now, and so we had to get that policy. It actually went through on a special suspension of rules so that it's impacted immediately. So you have your leave now,
Right.
but that's just one example of, again, the 200 plus
Mhm.
policies that are going to need to be addressed.
I don't know, when you mentioned that, I don't think about that being a law. You know what I mean? I think
Hmm.
about, I just think, well,
Hmm.
it's just the um, business operations have been adjusted.
Yes.
But when it comes to public education system, it has to be done through the legislature and all those things. So,
Right.
yeah, okay. But you just don't think about those details being something
Right.
that the legislature has to deal with. But okay. Well, I'm sorry. I had you say, I didn't think there was a bunch. And I guess there was. Well, what else? Anything? There was something that occurred, and I can't remember now. There was something that we've got the gun safety thing
Hmm.
that we're doing,
Hmm.
and that video changed a little bit, and I thought it was
Yes.
better than it was originally when we played it for the kiddos. And so we have that, and I'm trying to think there was something else, and I can't remember now. Maybe kind of doubling down on the phone policy, making sure those
Hmm.
kids don't have their phones, unless it's something instructional. And I think I finally have got that managed because it's hard.
It
Those kids
is.
are sneaky.
Yeah.
And we had a situation where I make them put them in their backpacks, and their backpacks are away from their desk.
Hmm.
So, because none of the kids use lockers anymore. I do
Right.
not know why. That is bizarre to me that they don't use their lockers. But anyway, so I think we've gotten a better handle on phones in my classroom than I've ever had,
Great.
and just getting them. But they really, the state's really saying get the phones away from these kids,
Right.
and I agree.
Yeah.
I agree 100% because if it doesn't help things. But anything else big that's standing out to you
Um,
from the policies that
nothing
people might be going,
nothing from
oh, didn't know that.
policy.
Yeah.
There's some recognition days and things like that we have
Mm.
to recognize certain things on days, and we'll gladly do those. But that was probably the biggest one that impacts teachers.
Like ice
Making sure
cream
that
day and all that, so I know I'm being facetious, but
well,
days that they want us to say,
one for example
okay,
is Independence Day. So
okay,
they're requiring us by law to recognize Independence Day and celebrate it sometime during the school year. Now we know Independence Day is
okay,
July 4th, but
yeah,
There
Interesting.
was a law that went through that said schools should recognize that and teach about the history of Independence Day and the origins of our nation.
Okay.
So, that's something we're going to have to implement in schools, and so we have committees working on, how will we do that and what will
Okay.
that look like? But it cannot be in summer or summer school, so it's got to
Well,
be during the school year.
we did it right before we got out of school because I said with and probably and I can implement it every year, but this year it was the emphasis because we were coming up on the birthday, the big
Mm-hmm.
250th birthday, and
Mm-hmm.
so I had them do a little short film project, just saying, what is the significance of this, and do you
Yes.
fully understand that the signing of the Declaration of Independence, when it actually happened, how that looks up against when we were actually, declared independent
Right.
after the Revolutionary War, and
Right.
kind of teaching that because they want us to overlaps, the CTE program with academics.
Mm-hmm.
So if we can bring math and science and things into our classroom, history.
Right.
History is an easy one for me because we can do videos and things like that. But making sure you get the science and the math is another one. We were talking about how to bring math into different projects, and it was so funny. My cohort over in Springfield, Mr. Reagan, he was like, rule of thirds, Miss Vivio, because of when it comes to geometry. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like,
Yeah.
absolutely, because that's a framing issue.
Right.
And so, it's just, you have to just think about it
You do.
and bring it all in. But yeah, I had already brought in the 4th of July at the end of the year.
Right.
And that's an easy do, especially
is.
this year because of the birthday. But anytime you want to bring in history, and we've got Constitution Week coming up, you could maybe tie it all
Mm-hmm.
together, because I've already had the Becky from the Daughters of the American Revolution reach out to me
Yes.
about coming on about
Right.
Constitution Week. So we could kind of tie it in there,
So,
possibly.
so 198 other laws like that we've had to, take in and process
Oh,
and
my
see how we do
goodness.
those.
I'm so sorry.
So those are out there. The next thing the board talked about is we've already talked about attendance and the importance
Yeah.
of being at school, and right now it's hard to know who's absent and who's not because, as you mentioned, I don't know why, but some students didn't come to school the first day.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's the day that you find out what's going on and what kind of equipment and
Yeah.
tools you need for your classroom and things of that nature. But also, we realize some folks have moved away. And so they may have gone to another state, they may have gone to another county. So our attendance clerks and our administrators are working hard to get those rolls cleaned up and to find out, where these students are, if they're just hadn't made it back to school yet, or if there's a reason for that, or whatever it happens to be. So our board had asked us to take a look at our numbers from last year to see how many students have been absent, and particularly those that have been chronically absent. I think we mentioned
Mhm.
that means that they've been absent more than 10% of the days of school. So, for a student, that would have meant they missed more than 17 days of school last year, an entire month of school.
Mhm.
And so
It happens.
it
more than you
does.
can imagine.
And so they'd asked that we take a look at our neighboring school systems and school systems that are like us to see how they handle that through the truancy court and how they handle that. And so there's a report in our board packets about it's from each of our surrounding school systems. And again, Robertson County is blessed to be in Mid-Cumberland District, and we have a good mix of rural schools. Dixon, Cheatham, Humphreys, Houston, Stewart on the west side, and then we also have that mix of what we might consider urban schools, large school districts: Clarksville, Montgomery, Williamson, Rutherford, Wilson, Sumner, and we all learn together from each other when we join together. But we ask each one of those school systems, how many people did you see in court last year because of truancy, and court is not our goal. Court is that last thing that we try to do to get parents to understand you've got to have your students in school. So we had a report from our surrounding schools here in Mid-Cumberland, but we compare ourselves to school systems that are like us, that we're in that 10, 11, 12,000 student range. And so there's systems across the state of Tennessee that have similar numbers. And so we also talk to those people on a regular basis to see, what did you do? How did you address attendance? And so we had a discussion about that last evening. And then, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, we took a preliminary look at numbers and just looking at our school clusters, and we grouped those in clusters. And here in the city of Springfield, we were down about 2% from last year. At East Robertson, we were up 1%. In Greenbrier, we were down 2%. And Joe Burns, we were up 4%. White House growing up
Oh
5%.
my goodness.
And so overall,
Whoa.
if you were, plus and minusing those numbers together, we're just up slightly, not even a
Okay.
full percent. So, and again, those are very preliminary numbers. So we will continue to monitor those. And September is when we really feel good that those numbers are accurate, and not that they're not accurate now, but that they
Mhm.
reflect the number of students that you're going to have in your class. And I've not been in a classroom to teach from quite some time ago, but I remember, having my class roll book, and, you know, you'd have scratch somebody's name off because they dropped your class, or scratch somebody's name because you found out they'd moved and things like that. So, I remember how messy my roll books were the first 6 weeks of school, because had so many ins and outs and things like
Mhm.
that. So, I'm guessing all that's on your computer now, and you
Oh
see that in a
yeah, but
lot of
it's
different
still.
perspectives.
I've got one sweet kid that I did not know. There was a few that had told me at the end of the year, "Hey, I'm moving, Miss Vivio." Had one particular one that I just we're really going to miss. Moved to Kentucky, and then another one that moved several states away. Apparently the job parents had a job that changed, and we miss them, And
Yeah,
I'm like, "Ah," And anyway, but yeah, seeing that for sure,
yeah,
and. But I'll tell you, well, let me pause and do a break and then
sure.
we'll wrap up. I'm sitting here looking at some of the things from Barry and Rebecca Richards with Exit Prime Realty, and I'm always curious as to what they're up to because it seems like there's always something interesting. Barry, on his social media page, he's got an inquiry into an old historic property up in the Franklin, Kentucky area because they're here in Springfield or they're here in Robertson County. They're up in Cross Plains. Have been here for 30 years. We got here about the same time, and that's I think one reason why we hit it off so well is we're all originally from Kentucky. We got into Robertson County about the same time, and this is home. Been here for 30 years. So they specialize in Robertson County properties. But because he worked for 17 years as a media marketing vice president in Nashville, she worked in radiology. They have this diverse background, originally from Kentucky. So they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. And the real cool thing about Exit Prime, they still have a broker up in the White House office that can broker deals in Kentucky. And people don't realize because laws have changed in Kentucky, not every broker can. Well, Exit Prime, they can. And so you see a lot of Kentucky properties that the Richards will put up. Again, Barry's inquiring about one. Go check out his social media page. And then Rebecca has one that she just posted that's up in Scottsville, Kentucky. So there are, some people, I have friends that actually live in Kentucky, work in the Tennessee area, different things like that. And whatever's going to work for you, they can help you out with it. It's the bottom line. Whether it's Robertson County, whether it's in some of the surrounding areas or up in Kentucky, or maybe you're wanting to sell property in some of these areas. They sell a lot. They sell property often without people even seeing it from another state. They'll look at it online. And Barry does such a great job of the visual. He does those walkthrough tours, the drone footage, the photography, videography, whatever you need to make sure it's going to pop when people are looking at it. So buying or selling, or whether you want to be a realtor, whatever it might be, they can help you out. You can find out more at sellwithbecky.com, or robertsoncounty.com. Or as always, you can give them a call at 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425, or 7424. And always please let them know U-Turn sent you. Dr. Danny Weeks, our director of schools, is in the house. We had a school board meeting last night, as they do on the second Monday of the month, unless it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day or something like it. Sometimes it varies, but most of the time, second Monday of the month, and then he comes in on that Tuesday and gives us a report. And we're kind of getting down to the last little bit of it. So what else have you got for us?
Just a couple more things. You mentioned the partnership that we have between the school system and the station here, and so we're thankful for that partnership. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, in a week or so, we start principal
Mm-hmm.
interviews, And so we have a schedule that each one of our principals will come in and spend about 30 minutes with you and talk
Mhm.
about the things that are going on in their school and the things that they're most proud of. And so I know I enjoy listening to
I
those.
do
I
too.
enjoy listening a
Uh-huh.
couple of weeks ago when our staff was on there. And so just talking about what folks need to be ready for as they come back to school and some changes and things like that. But uh, always excited to have principals in and to talk about the great things that are going on in their building. So I know, and thank you for doing
Oh,
that
it's my
show. I mean, that's a
pleasure.
great show,
Thank y'all
and
for helping get
yeah,
that together, and it's on the first Wednesdays. First Wednesdays when
so
that
coming
hits.
up quickly.
Yeah, so it's coming up very quickly.
That, and then also wanted to mention that our board talked about um, we talked a little bit about the budget earlier, and we talked about where we are, but just as a reminder, is we're not a silo in county government. We work alongside with EMA and the sheriff's office and fire departments and all the other divisions of local government, and so. Tonight, while it is pep rally on the square, there is a budget hearing for anyone that has input on any of the school budget or any of the county government budgets, and that's tonight at 7 o'clock at the main courtroom and over at the county office building. So I'm going to slip away from the pep rally and go participate in the budget hearing in case there are questions about the school's budget. But we'll participate there, and Mayor Vogel, I guess, will host that along with the budget committee, and again, we're there to answer any questions that people would have about the budget, and not just, again, it's not just the school's budget, but it's the entire county budget. And then we'd look forward to the budget being approved at the next county commission meeting, unless there are big changes that come out of tonight.
Right.
So that's coming up. And then, we always mention, people talking about, well, I'm not happy in this school. Maybe I'd like to go to another school and things like that. Again, we ask families to give schools an opportunity to address their needs and to let things settle down a little bit. And we know sometimes, there are personalities or there are other things that need to be addressed, and maybe it's a classroom change within that school, or maybe it's something that can be done. But
Mhm.
our offices are here to help, and again, we always try to remind folks to um, address those at the lowest possible level that they can. If there's a question about homework in a class, it doesn't do
They
any
need to
good
call
to call
Dr.
my
Weeks.
office. They need to talk to that teacher. If they can't work through the teacher, then they need to work through the principal and assistant
Mhm.
principal in that building. You talked about social workers and counselors. We have those in each school and each school cluster. So there are family resources to help people navigate you know, paperwork. We'll have a lot of people going to college for the first time, don't know how to apply to college, don't know about FAFSA and all those kind of. So our counselors are doing a wonderful job about that. So, we remind them that they're there to help as well. And then we had a discussion last night that I love being here with you and everything like that, but sometimes things get brought to media attention that may not be 100% accurate.
Right.
And as those things get brought out, you know, we we're professionals, and we're not always going to respond to some negativity or some inaccurate information that will come out in the end.
Right. And again, I just, that's one thing you mentioned something about seeing something on social media. And I honestly, if I were y'all, I don't know that I'd ever turn it on and
I
look at it,
I
because
really don't.
it gets frustrating
It
because
does.
you don't have the whole story. There's anyway, we'll say as little as possible without saying just that, just wait for everything to settle down
Yeah,
and to get the entirety of it. That's the best way to do it.
yeah,
Wouldn't you say?
I do.
Yeah, so very good. And I had somebody ask about scores and things like that. You can go and find those online.
Those
Where
are
do
all
you
on.
go for the scores of the school?
I
I mean, I forget the website
the
because
the easiest thing to do is just Google Tennessee State Report Card.
okay,
Tennessee
yes,
Schools State Report
report
Card.
card.
Those are exciting. We are
Hmm.
a lot of the information we have at the school level has just now beginning to be released, and so we're so excited about
Hmm.
some of the results that we've seen. Certainly, we're not satisfied any day. We've got a lot of growth to
Oh
do and a
no,
lot of
I
things to
mean,
do, but I think when we start having official announcements, we look for reward schools, we look for level 5 schools,
Mhm.
and I think this year we will have more level 5 schools than we've ever had,
I think so
and
too.
so it's an exciting time.
I mean, we're working hard on this, guys, and
Yes.
unless you're in the school system and seeing how this works day to day, um, I have not worked with a teacher or a counselor or an administrator that has just not been top notch. I mean, and I came from the outside into the school system, and I just, I've just encountered wonderful
Mhm.
people. And I say that with every bit of honesty and everything. I mean, there's people, I mean, you're going to always meet one or two that you're like, okay, maybe dig in a little bit more. But when it comes to the kindness and goodness, I don't know. I've
Yeah.
just worked with an exceptional bunch of people in my experience at Roberts County, and not just in my school, but ones I've met in different schools.
Mhm.
And it is frustrating when you see things get posted, and it's like just stop, just stop. But anyway, but I appreciate what you do
Thanks so
very
much.
much, working hard. And we appreciate you guys being here. And as far as the schedule of the principals and stuff, I have on my schedule coming up. I've got Dr. Osborne's coming up.
Okay.
And I don't know who else is coming up though, so I need to look at that. But
Well, I
but
tried
we'll
to put them on your calendar. I tried
okay,
to share
okay,
'em,
we'll
so,
see.
yeah.
But we will have a couple of the principals coming up, and we just hope you'll get out to support the kids at the pep rally on the road. That's what they're calling it at White House Heritage today, the pep rally on the road. So that should be fun. But anything else that we have before we wrap up?
I think we're great.
Okay, well, very good. And on our way out, I tell you what, we're going to talk about one of our sponsors. We're going to talk about the UPS store. If you've not had time to get to the UPS store, just want to give them a little extra plug today, because all the things that, right now, print is a big deal for a lot of people as they're getting things organized for their for school and for, I mean, you could go and get some really cool things printed at the UPS store for the pep rally on the road today. But they're always there to serve you, and just great customer service. I had to go by just a couple of days ago and return some stuff to Amazon, and was thrilled to have the little self-serve kiosk, because I was in and out of there. I mean, seriously, in under a minute. I had my stuff dropped off and was done, and it's so efficient. But they've got everything you need at our UPS store. They're going to be opening up here in just a few minutes. They've got hours to serve everyone every single day, 8 a.m. until 6:30 p.m., 8 a.m. until 6:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. Saturday, they're open from 9 to 3. And then on Sunday, they're open from 10 to 3. There to serve you. Everybody in there is a notary. So whatever you need, they can take care of it. Our UPS store, the UPS store, the everything store, 513 Memorial Boulevard here in Springfield. When you get by there, please let them know U-Turn sent you. Thank you again, Dr. Weeks, for joining us. Thank you guys for joining us today. And tomorrow, it's StayPositive.news. Sarah will be here from StayPositive.news, and we'll talk with her, and it will be a fun day, and I hope you'll be a part of it. This is 1100 WSGI. God bless you. Have a great day.